This Part 2 Episode 41 of Soul Land 2. Early the next morning, the sun rose over a clear day in Star Luo Plaza. After breakfast, the bustling crowd in Star Luo Plaza could be clearly seen from afar if one stood at the corridor in front of the window. The round of 16 was divided into 4 matches every day for 4 days. As the previous title holders of this tournament, the Shrek Academy would be the first to compete. Their opponent was the Doling Imperial Soul Academy that had 5 Soul Kings, and which was the top academy in the Doling Empire. Wang Dong placed his hands on Hui Yuhao's shoulder and asked, "What are you thinking of? Are you nervous or excited?" Hui Yuhao laughed cheekily and said, "Neither. I was just thinking about whether we'll set a record as the youngest to become champions if we do become champions." Wang Dong chuckled, "What a kid. Wait till you become the champion." Hui Yuhao snapped at him, "You dare to lecture me even though you are younger than me? Are you that unconfident? Don't forget that we have already, don't say it." Wang Dong covered his mouth and pushed his words back down his throat. Wang Dong turned red and retorted, "Nonsense. Who's destined to be together with you?" Hui Yuhao replied cheekily, "Why are you blushing? You must be thinking of something wayward. It's fine if you're young and never learned what's right. But your mind is full of dirty thoughts. Hui Yuhao, are you looking to be whacked?" Wang Dong grabbed his shoulder. Hui Yuhao turned his body and dodged. As the two of them horsed around, Wang Yang coincidentally walked out of his room. Hui Yuhao dodged until he hit Wang Yang in the back, and Wang Dong did not manage to grab him in time. Wang Yang laughed, "What are the both of you doing?" Today, the Shrek Academy was about to send its strongest lineup from its team for the tournament. Hence, Wang Yang was much more relaxed. With 2 Soul Emperors holding the fort and his own arrangements and strategy, surely victory was theirs. Both Shrek Academy and the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy would feature in today's 4 rounds, but the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy's match was in the afternoon, and they did not have to come in the morning. However, they still came to watch how Shrek Academy would perform against the 5 Soul Kings of the Doling Imperial Soul Academy. After settling down in the resting area, Wang Dong did not forget to smile at both Xiao Hongchen and his sister. Xiao Hongchen felt that he was obviously being provocative. But to Meng Hongchen, Wang Dong's bright and beautiful smile made her heart beat faster. Hui Yuhao tugged at Wang Dong's arm and said, "Stop playing. Be careful of going overboard." Wang Dong groaned and said, "What? Are you jealous? Are you interested in that girl?" Hui Yuhao answered him softly, "Stop harboring dirty thoughts, will you?" Wang Dong laughed coldly and said, "I wonder who's the one with all the dirty thoughts. All right, I won't bother you anymore. I'll get ready to fight." The elimination rounds would be held across 2 days, and today was the team competition. The victor of the team competition could be said to be 1 foot into the quarterfinals of the tournament. The individual elimination rounds would be held the next day. Wang Yang was serious as he stood in front of everyone. "Act according to our strategy. The Doling Imperial Soul Academy must have their reasons for intentionally losing first place in the qualifier round, or they must have some special preparations. This round is critical to both parties. Hence, we must not give them any shred of opportunity." As he saw Ma Xiaotao's look of disapproval, Wang Yang said in a low voice, "Don't forget what the consequences were when we were careless in front of the envoy of the Death God. All these years, Shrek Academy has been the champion of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. However, we have also become everyone's target for that same reason. I think it's fair to say that every participating academy will have done their research on us. Following the development of Soul tools, there are more and more strategies now. Do not underestimate our opponents. Whoever is not interested in carrying out my strategy can forget about competing in the next round." Upon remembering the envoy of the Death God that had heavily hurt the official team members, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Ma Xiaodao looked up to Wang Yang. Although she was a little unconvinced, she was less scornful than before. As the competition drew closer to its end, the atmosphere also became more and more intense. This was an elimination round. Furthermore, it was the round of 16 elimination stage. If defeated, it would mean elimination from the tournament. For every round won, one's ranking would increase. Undoubtedly, all the academies that participated in this tournament would give their all under such a circumstance. The more they watched the tournament, the more the spectators appreciated it. The most intense battle was about to start. How could they not be eager to watch? There appeared to be more spectators than usual in Star Luo Plaza today. They managed to squeeze their way in through different forms of connections and through different channels, as they wanted to see this exciting duel. Especially since Shrek Academy was competing in the morning, and their opponent had taken second place in the round-robin stage of the tournament. This attracted more attention than usual. The round of 16 to qualify for the quarterfinals will now begin. The first match will be between Shrek Academy and the Doling Imperial Soul Academy. Competing members, please enter the waiting area to prepare for the match. As if nothing had happened, the Star Luo Emperor came to the top of the city wall very early on. Whenever Shrek Academy competed, he would come to watch. Under Wang Yang's guidance, Ma Xiaodao, Dai Yueheng, Ling Luochen, Bei Bei, Xu Sanxia, Wu Yuhao and Wang Dong entered the waiting area. When the competing members of the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy saw that Ma Xiaodao and Dai Yueheng were present, they immediately raised their guard. In the previous tournament, Dai Yueheng had appeared as the leader of the preparatory team, and Ma Xiaodao had not participated. Hence, Dai Yueheng naturally drew more attention to himself. Wang Yang looked at his own team members. After pursing his lips, he said in a low voice, "It hasn't been not easy for us to reach this stage. It was only possible because of all your hard work and effort. All of you must remember not to allow any mistakes to render all our hard work for nothing. Shrek will win. Shrek will win." The seven of them shouted at the same time. Once they spoke these few words, all of them became focused, and their competitive streaks rose. Competition was the best way for one to grow. From the start of the tournament till now, Wang Yang could clearly see the growth that the 7 students on the preparatory team had experienced. Their state of mind, emotions, thirst for competition and live experience had all improved at alarming rates. They were like depthless sponges that kept on absorbing elements that would aid in their growth. Wang Yang also knew about the arrival of Elder Xian, the Dao Tai Delor. After Elder Xian arrived, he found Wang Yang and relayed the decision of the conference held within the Sea God's Pavilion to him. Wang Yang had not understood at first. But as time passed, he became convinced of the decision. Maybe this would dim the glory of the Shrek Academy. However, would all the glory be lost if this batch of talented kids was able to mature? Not to even mention anything else, the simultaneous appearances of 3 twin martial souls in Shrek Academy was already worth a wager. Participants of both parties, please enter the stage. The referee's voice disrupted Wang Yang's thoughts. Ma Xiaodao was the first to stand up, and she advanced with huge steps. Dai Yueheng, Ling Luochen, Bei Bei, Wu Yuhao, Wang Dong and Xu Sanxia followed behind him. Ma Xiaodao and Dai Yueheng stood at the very front. As for their opponents, the person who stood at the front was a youth who seemed to be around the same age as Dai Yueheng. This youth had a huge bone structure, but he was very thin. His cheeks even appeared to be shriveled. However, his eyes were filled with energy. As he advanced a few steps and walked towards the referee, he said to the others from the Shrek Academy, "It's my honor to spar with Shrek Academy. Please advise us." The person who stepped forward was not Ma Xiaodao, but Dai Yueheng. Dai Yueheng took a large step forward and smiled gently, saying, "If I'm not wrong, you are called Jiyu Zhujian. Am I right?" Jiyu Zhujian was slightly stunned, and replied, "How do you know my name? I think I saw you in the last tournament. I am Dai Yueheng." Dai Yueheng introduced himself. He did not believe that the other party did not recognize him. As the team leader of the preparatory team of Shrek Academy the last time round, he had been a focal point for many of them. Jiyu Zhujian squeezed out a slight laugh from his shriveled cheeks and said, "I hope to learn new things through this competition with Shrek Academy." "Your wish will be granted," Dai Yueheng replied. Jiyu Zhujian's eyes flashed with a cold radiance. He only laughed without replying to Dai Yueheng. The other participants of Do Ling's team were also very confident. It seemed as if they were pretty sure of defeating Shrek Academy. "Both parties, please step back and prepare for the start of the match." The referee today looked to be around 60 years old. But he seemed to be much more composed compared to the previous referee. His cultivation also appeared to be greater. With him at the center, both parties seemed to have been separated by a barrier. Hu Yuhao's mind quickly thought over the descriptions of the 7 participants on the opposing team that Wang Yang had related to them. The team leader of Do Ling's team was Jiyu Zhujian. His martial soul was the purple brilliant bamboo, and he was a rank 57 Assault System Soul King. As an Assault System Battle Soul Master, his fighting strength was extremely tough. The purple brilliant bamboo was also very unique. Their vice-team leader was a youth who stood beside Jiyu Zhujian and seemed to be 2 sizes bigger than He Kai Tu. His name was Chen Yuan. His martial soul was a rare assault-type martial soul, the Terraclaw Bear. The Terraclaw Bear was extremely powerful, and it was equally good at offense and defense. It could be considered a top-ranked martial soul. His soul power was also rank 53. The core of Dou Ling's team was a thin youth that was standing at the back. His name was Xiao Feng. His martial soul belonged in the rare spiritual type category just like Hui Yu Hao. However, his was not a body soul, but was something called the Maze Pearl. His spiritual type martial soul was different from Hui Yu Hao's. It did not affect his opponents directly but was targeted towards the environment. It was extremely powerful, and Xiao Feng was one of the 5 soul kings. His soul power was only inferior to Ji Yu Zhujian's, and he was a rank above Chen Yuan at rank 54. The 3 of them were the absolute core of this team. Besides them, there were 2 more soul kings. They were Kai Hengyu, a rank 52 defense-type soul king, and Han Linga, a rank 51 agility-type soul king. Han Linga was one of the 2 female members. The remaining 2 soul ancestors were Tang Nianyo, who was an auxiliary system soul master, and Qing Feng, who was a control system soul master. The 2 of them each had their own special traits. The powers of their entire team were very strong, and were far superior to the Just Sky Academy that had made a lot of trouble for Hui Yu Hao and the rest. As both parties stepped back, their formations had already started to change. On Shrek Academy's side of Ma Xiaodao and Dai Yuehang were naturally the ones in front. Behind them were Bei Bei and Xu Sanxia, who stood slightly diagonally outwards. The 4 of them formed an arc. In the center at the back, Ling Luochen was there. Behind Ling Luochen were both Hui Yu Hao and Wang Dong. During the process of stepping back, Hui Yu Hao's spiritual detection sharing was already unleashed, and shrouded all of his team members. The entire stage was instantly enveloped by his spiritual detection. Even for the strongest Ma Xiaodao and Dai Yuehang, they felt a wave of comfort and relief as they sensed the all-round detection from the spiritual detection sharing. Indeed, with such a powerful spiritual skill, they would be able to control the rhythm of the match. On the other side, Dou Ling's team also unleashed their formation as they stepped back. However, a scene that left Shrek Academy shocked appeared. Ji Yu Zhujian did not appear in front of the team even though he was the team leader and an assault-type soul master. Rather, he stood in the center. The ones who stood in front were Chen Yuan, the Terraclaw Bear, and Kai Hengyu, the giant Vajra shield. Han Linga, the agility-type soul king, concealed herself a short distance behind the both of them. The 2 control system battle soul masters stood at either 2 sides of her, protecting Ji Yu Zhujian in the center, as well as Tang Nianyo, the auxiliary-type soul master. This formation was very weird. The Assault System Battle Soul Master actually stood at the position that the Control System Soul Master should be standing in. What were they trying to achieve? In the face of such a situation, the reaction of Shrek Academy was to do nothing. They only watched their opponents carefully. Seeing that both parties were already in position, the referee gestured to the team leaders of both parties and shouted, "Match start!" Before he even finished speaking, the referee quickly left the center of the stage. No one knew if he was fearful of the freezing effect that Ling Luochen had exhibited in Shrek's last match. The Dou Ling team's defense-type soul master, Kai Hengyu, released his gigantic Vajra shield. From the looks of it, this Vajra shield seemed to be more eye-catching than Xu Sanxi's shield of the Xuanwu turtle. The upper part of the Vajra shield was rectangular in shape, while the bottom part was triangular. The shield was over 2 meters tall, and around 1.5 meters wide. For such a giant shield, even Kai Hengyu had to bend his burly body to lift it off the ground. After the Vajra shield was released, Kai Hengyu's first action was to hardily stab the shield into the ground. Following that, his 5th soul ring lit up, and an intense white light flashed within the purple glow emanated by his 5th soul ring. The shield expanded from its already enormous size, doubling in number from 1 to 2, 2 to 4, and then 4 to 8. Almost instantaneously, it turned into a huge shield wall that blocked everything in front of it. Every face of this expanded shield was covered by a blinding white light. The tough feeling it gave off was superior to Xu Sanxi's shield. This was Kai Hengyu's 5th soul skill, the Vajra shield. It was a defense-type soul skill that was extremely strong and resilient. At the same time, it wasn't only him that made a move. The control-type soul ancestor called Qing Feng and the auxiliary-type soul ancestor called Tang Nianyo both attacked too. Tang Nianyo was extremely small in size. As her body swayed, her ears grew and twitched in a very cute manner, and her body became a little fatter. As her round lips clasped together, her 3rd soul ring lit up. A streak of straight green light shone on Qing Feng's body. Her martial soul was a pure auxiliary type martial soul, a raccoon. Qing Feng's fourth soul ring lit up. A layer of dirt yellow radiance shone from beneath his legs. Soon after that, the entire competition stage started to shake tremendously. Following a loud, rumbling noise, a huge dirt wall swept in the direction of the 7 participants from Shrek Academy like a wave. That wasn't all. Thorns appeared on Kai Hengyu's Vajra shield, pointing outwards. Along with the help of the dirt wall, Kai Hengyu's defense was like a metal wall. Hu Yuhao and the others had experienced a similar situation in the tournament before. Back then, they had been pitted against the Thousand Spirits Advanced Soul Academy. Their opponents had used 4 Spirit Rhinoceros shields as their defense. Shen Xi had been supported by Fei Yuyan as they mounted an attack. However, they had been unsuccessful against Hu Yuhao's spiritual detection. But right now, the Dou Ling team looked starkly different from the Thousand Spirits Advanced Soul Academy. Furthermore, they had not used such a strategy in the tournament yet, according to Wang Yang. Of course, the defensive power of the Dou Ling team right now was far superior to the Thousand Spirit Advanced Soul Academy back then. The strong defensive line that they had left even the referee in awe, and he nodded slightly. However, his nodding suddenly stopped. That was because the situation had suddenly changed. The Dou Ling team had displayed such a formation right from the start. Their intentions were very obvious. They must possess some form of powerful, special offensive abilities that they needed time to prepare. After that, they would tap into this offensive power to complete what they wanted to do. As for what this offensive ability was, no one knew as of now. But it was clear that this strategy had been prepared for Shrek Academy. However, as the top academy on the continent, would Shrek Academy not do anything? Of course not. While their opponents had their strategy, they had their own strategy too. Hence, the confused and shocked team leader of the Dou Ling team, Jiyu Shujian, instantly switched positions with Xu Sanxia. He appeared in the middle of Shrek Academy's formation, surrounded by the other 6. Damn it, Jiyu Shujian cursed, wide-eyed. Although he realized what had happened, his mood was still extremely unpleasant. He seemed a little weird at this point. In both his hands, he held a metal circle that seemed like a millstone. There were many holes on the surface of this metal millstone, and it was even carved with many magnificent, flowery patterns. There was concentrated lightning shining from it, and he was even down on one knee, as if he were presenting this slab of metal. Bei Bei smiled and asked, "What is he giving us?" "Thanks." As he said this, he slapped his thunderous dragon claw down. Dai Yueheng's second soul skill, the White Tiger's fierce light wave, and Ma Xiaotao's first soul skill, the Phoenix Fire Line, were also unleashed at the same time. 3 assault-type soul masters all teamed up against one member of the opposing team. Among the 3 of them, there were even 2 Soul Emperors, whereas their opponent looked to be entirely unprepared. This was Wang Yang's strategy. In reality, this strategy had been targeted towards just Sky Academy. However, they were fortunate not to have gotten involved in a team battle. Otherwise, Shrek Academy would have used this method to defeat Yi Wuqing, their team leader. While Yi Wuqing was very powerful, the ramifications of what would happen if he had to face the encirclement of an entire team under such a sudden change were clear. In addition, the 3 assault-type soul masters were even supported by a control-type soul king. The staff in Ling Luochun's hand pointed out, and Jiyu Zhujian's legs were frozen on the spot. If one phrase had to be used to describe Jiyu Zhujian's feelings now, it was grief and fury. In his mind, he thought that he was the most sorrowful leader in this entire tournament. However, Jiyu Zhujian was not easy to deal with as the team leader of a team that had finished in the last 4 in the previous tournament. Facing the encirclement of Shrek Academy, a ball of golden light flashed in front of his chest. A coat of golden light covered his entire body. The soul skill that Ling Luochen had used to freeze his legs started to take effect. However, the soul skills of the rest were being blocked outside of the golden light. Hu Yuhao roared immediately, "Invincible Barrier, a soul tool that can only be used once. He's a soul king. Thus, this shield can only survive for 3 seconds. Soul tools that could only be used once usually had rather exceptional powers, and this invincible barrier was no exception. With these 3 seconds, Jiyu Zhujian could keep the huge slab of mysterious metal and unleash his martial soul. His 5th 10,000-year soul ring flashed with a light that tried to get him out of Shrek Academy's blockade. On the other side, Xu Sanxia had already switched positions. Jiyu Zhujian had originally been standing at the center, at the back of the formation. However, all of his team members had been facing him. There were different slabs of metal of different shapes in all of their hands. Initially, they had been aimed at Jiu Zhujian. But now, they were aimed at Shu Sancha. Shu Sancha was not as unprepared as Jiu Zhujian. The moment after the mysterious underworld displacement was used, he released another soul skill. It was his first soul skill, the mysterious underworld quake. The shield of the Xuanwu turtle was smashed hard into the ground. A black glow instantly emanated from his shield and covered tens of square meters. It was like a canopy that stretched out. During this process, a loud, rumbling noise also followed. At this point, everyone from the Douling team gathered within this area and were all affected. This was too sudden of an attack for them. As they were not prepared, they were jerked out of their senses. Shu Sancha grinned, and the black glow shone again. The mysterious underworld displacement was summoned again. In the next instant, Ma Xiaodao, who unleashed burning flames from her body, replaced him. She appeared at the center of the Douling team. This series of changes was very dazzling. But the spectators who could see everything clearly also felt the same. Completely suppressed. Right now, the Douling team was at an absolute disadvantage. And what had caused this was not their powers, but the limitations of their strategy. Without a doubt, this strategy from Shrek Academy could only achieve such an effect the first time it was used. Although no one knew what the Douling team had been trying to form earlier, it was bound to be very powerful. Their initial plan had been to use their defenses to keep Shrek Academy out. On top of their powerful defensive soul skills, they would add the powers of 5 Soul Kings. As long as they could hold on until the mysterious metal item they had produced did its job, they should have been able to win this match. Ma Xiaodao was the only one who was aware of how dejected she felt. This was also her first time participating in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Soul Dueling Tournament. However, she had been hurt even before the tournament had started. 3 official team participants had been critically injured, and 1 other person had even been killed. As the team leader, she recognized the responsibility that she had to take. No matter how tough her personality was, she had been filled with torment after all of that was over. She was resilient enough, however, and concealed this torment she felt in the depths of her heart. She had tried her best to heal this wound of hers, and hoped to turn her sorrow and fury into strength. She wanted to do her best for Shrek Academy in this tournament. However, her injuries were far more serious than what she had imagined. She could only watch as the younger preparatory team members did their best in several rounds of the tournament. They even paid a heavy price as they sustained grave injuries. Ma Xiaodao did not say anything, but the drive that she repressed in her heart left her feeling much more tormented than the time she was burned by demonic fire. It was finally her turn to compete today. Wang Yang wanted her to conserve her powers, but how could she suppress herself any further? Thus, she was the one who was switched over by the mysterious underworld displacement rather than Dai Yuan. This was an opportunity that she had obtained by threatening Shu Sancha. A bright phoenix howl reverberated, and burning phoenix flames surged instantly. Huge, flaming wings flapped open following the flashing of her 3rd soul ring. A ring of intense, bright red fire spread out from her. Her figure also jumped up as she flapped her flaming wings. It was a pity that Team Douling's defense was projected towards the front, but their opponent appeared in their core. They received Ma Xiaodao's attack before they had a chance to steady themselves, as they were still affected by the mysterious underworld quake. The Douling team reacted quickly though. The remaining 6 divided into 2 groups of 3. Kai Hengyu, Qian Yuan and Han Linga were in front, while the other 3 were in the back. A yellowish-golden barrier of light lit up before the 3 in front. It was the Invincible Barrier, another soul tool that could only be expended once. This Invincible Barrier was a soul tool that was developed from a very rare soul skill. It required a special golden crystal only produced by the Sun Moon Empire as an intermediary. The Invincible Barrier could unleash the powers of the golden crystal when initiated by the core formation, and produce a defensive barrier of immense strength. Of course, invincibility was relative. The lowest class of the Invincible Barrier was a Class 5 soul tool. This also meant that at least a Soul King was needed to use it. A Class 5 Invincible Barrier could resist any Soul Master below an 8-ringed Soul Dolor for 3 seconds. A Class 6 Invincible Barrier could even defend against a Title Dolor for more than 3 seconds. Class 7 Invincible Barriers were extremely rare. A soul tool like the Invincible Barrier could be a life-saving treasure at certain times. Hence, it was a Soul Master's favorite soul tool, along with the milk bottle. However, its demand was far greater than its supply. But the Invincible Barrier had a flaw that was very obvious. Firstly, it was very costly. A Class 5 invincible barrier started out at 100,000 gold soul coins, but its true sale price was far above this figure. While it was not that difficult to produce it, there were very few golden crystals produced. The higher the class of the invincible barrier, the higher the quality of golden crystals it required. This was the Maze Pearl, Xiao Feng's martial soul. He was a rare spiritual control type soul master just like Hui Yu Hao. But his was not a body soul. Rather, he used the Maze Pearl to release different forms of hypnotic illusions to protect and aid his team members. At the same time, he also used them to trick his opponents. If Ma Xiaodao were to look down, she would only see a purplish patch of blurriness, wherein the Douling team's 6 members were shifting positions quickly and unleashing different types of soul skills targeted towards her. However, Ma Xiaodao revealed a smile on her face right now. She thought to herself, it feels good to completely suppress them. Ma Xiaodao dived down without hesitation as she was watched by the Douling team's 6 remaining members. Her second, third and fourth soul rings flashed with a bright radiance at the same time. Her body was blazing with flames right now, and she looked like a true fire phoenix. Half of the competition stage was lit with a red glow because of the phoenix flames on her body. Kai Hengyu had already retracted his Vajra shield, and there was no doubt that he had to resist the attack using his shield. As a defense-type Soul King, he blocked the attack without any misgivings. The Vajra shield was lifted horizontally, and was rapidly shifted to the position where Ma Xiaodao was striking using the Maze Pearl's purplish fog. Qian Yuan also inched closer to Kai Hengyu rapidly. As long as Kai Hengyu blocked Ma Xiaodao's attack, he would retaliate with all his might. Qian Yuan's height had reached above 3 meters after he released his martial soul. His immense build was shocking, and there were 5 enormous, sharp claws that reached over half a meter long at the ends of his thick arms. He had to bend slightly to be engulfed by the Maze Pearl's illusions. Han Linga was concealed somewhere further away. She was an agility-type Soul King. Her style was to await her opportunity to strike precisely. Tang Nionio's auxiliary-type soul skill landed on Kai Hengyu. Her aim was very simple: increase Kai Hengyu's defensive strength. As long as he could withstand Ma Xiaodao's attack, it would be their turn to retaliate against her. Qing Feng was the only one who did not join in to attack Ma Xiaodao. He continued to face the others from Shrek Academy. His earthen wave had almost reached his opponents, and he was about to get Jiyu Shujian back. Kai Hengyu and Qian Yuan were struck the heaviest, as they were the closest. The two of them only felt a wave of heat sweeping across their bodies. The soul power in their bodies seemed to be on fire, and their developing soul skills were degraded in an instant. At the same time, their bodies turned stiff. The rest were roughly affected in the same manner, although the degree of their injuries was lower. Phoenix Sky Whistle, a very powerful crowd control soul skill that could be used to attack and defend. It was Ma Xiaodao's 4th soul skill. Enhanced by the Phoenix Baptism and Soaring Phoenix, its might was definitely not inferior to any 10,000-year soul skill. Tang Nionio's auxiliary-type soul skill and Xiao Feng's Maze Pearl were all instantly burned away by the Phoenix Sky Whistle as it struck. There was no longer any suspense for the rest of the battle after the involvement of Ma Xiaodao's Phoenix Sky Whistle. Ma Xiaodao snorted, and her pitch-black, 6th soul ring flashed with a bright radiance. At the same time, the defensive barrier surrounding the competition stage that was formed by 108 soul masters started to jerk tremendously. Large patches of red solidified within the defense barrier, and the temperature above the competition stage soared. Ma Xiaodao's strongest defensive soul skill, the Phoenix Meteor Shower, was already incubating. After they were affected by the Phoenix Sky Whistle, the Douling team was no longer capable of avoiding or resisting any further attacks. Was she really a Soul Emperor? This was what every spectator thought. She was also the first Soul Emperor to appear in this tournament. Many of the spectators raved in their hearts. This was the power that Shrek Academy was supposed to have. At this moment, the battle on the other side had already concluded. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.